Hello, everyone, and welcome. I see we still have a few folks that are coming on, which is great. So come on in. We're going to go ahead and get started, though. This is Brad Cooper with CountingWorks and ClientWise, and we're here to talk about social media. So we hear from CPAs, virtual CFOs, bookkeepers, tax professionals around the country, and they all want to know and learn more about social media, whether they should use it or not, should they use it, how they should use it. But mostly we get lots of questions from our clients about how to make it useful and how to actually do something with it that's valuable to their practice. They hear a lot of noise, things like you should embrace social media or you should engage on social media. And they hear all these things and they get afraid and scared. And mostly it's just bad advice, frankly, from quote unquote social media experts. But rarely do you hear specific, easy, practical ways to put social media to work for you and your practice to generate more business without also requiring you to spend literally years of your life wasted away on Twitter and Facebook and all those other places. So we're going to today talk to you about how to generate more referrals from social media and to make social media really effective and useful for your practice. So I'm pretty sure you're going to hear some unique things today that you don't hear from anyone else out there. So let's go ahead and get started. And so first, I'd like to introduce my co-presenter here today, Lee Reams. Lee, go ahead and say hello to the folks and introduce yourself.
Hey, Brad. Excited to be talking about social media here today. And I agree with you. There are some great points we've put together in this presentation that I think people will be able to take away from this and start using, building their practice here in the future.
And just also, Lee's obviously been, if you could just kind of give a little bit of your background too, but you've been in this industry for many years prior to this in print and then in digital marketing. But just, I mean, talk to us a little bit about your background and CountingWorks and ClientWise.
Sure. So, been working with tax and accounting professionals for more years than I'd like to admit. Originally through our company called Image One, where we created everything from client newsletters, tax questionnaires. We were one of the first companies to come up with a tax questionnaire. We were the company that created the software matching folders, but really been based most of our expertise on content creation. So how do we assist our tax and accounting professionals to showcase their expertise and really communicate and kind of serve their client base? So back in the day, from Image One, we sold that business some years ago and started focusing more on the digital side. So how can we help our clients in this kind of disruption phase? How can we help them go from the old way of doing things to the new digital formats? And social media is a big part of that, and I think there's some real benefits here to talk about today.
Absolutely. Thank you. And again, I'm Brad with ClientWise and CountingWorks, and I've been in this industry for many years, digital marketing with big companies like Apple and Xerox and other big companies. But over the last 10 years or more, I've really been focused on helping thousands of small practices get more from their marketing and especially from social media. So very excited for both of us to talk to you about this today. And just real quick about our company. We've been in this business for many years, as Lee said, and you may be familiar with our parent company called ClientWise, and more we're going to be moving to a new brand called CountingWorks, but ClientWise we'll still use for things for CPE, and you'll still see our name out there. But our new brand, we're really excited about, it encompasses our entire marketing platform. So you'll see a little bit of it here in front of you today, but it's really technology and people that power things like websites and email newsletters and search engine optimization, reputation building, all of these different pieces and tools that are both proprietary technology as well as some services. And then you'll see kind of the most important part on the sides there, those are our clients. Those nice, happy, smiling faces there, accountants around the countries who we give them very easy, automated, and pretty affordable stuff to help them maximize and automate their practice and their client communications and their marketing and their social media, which is what we're here to talk about today. So that's just a little sampling of what we do, and we can talk. We have webinars on all these different topics. This one's on social media, but we'll dive into those other webinars. So about this webinar, it's going to be about an hour, but please do stay through to the end. And a couple of reasons for that. One is because it's required for the CPE if you do want to get CPE credit, along with the 4 poll questions that we're going to have. But then also we have some handouts and also another reason to stay to the end is that we do have some special exclusive offers, which you can't find anywhere else. So please stay to the end for that. You'll see that you can download the PDFs as well. And if you do have questions, we're in listen only mode on the audio, but there should be a little questions icon there at the bottom. Click that question icons. We love questions. We will answer a few of them at the end of the webinar, but we're going to save most of them to the end. So after this webinar, we will get back to you and answer any of those questions that you have. So we love questions. Please have them come in. And this webinar is designed for US-based small and accounting and tax practices. Other businesses and practices may benefit, but that's sort of who it's geared towards. And then finally, the little disclaimer there, we're not attorneys, so please do consult your local or state governing bodies or your attorney on some of these more sticky kind of tax and accounting issues. For the CPE credit, as I mentioned, you do have to be, it's an hour long, you do have to be a CPA. We will email all the details for the people who do stay for 50 minutes about how to get the CPE credit. So look for an email from us. There'll be one additional poll question. And again, you do have to answer all four poll questions in order to qualify for that. And then, so what you'll learn today, so some practical, easy ways to increase your return on investment, what you do need and what you don't need to focus on to generate more referrals, tips and tricks to get you in front of more prospective clients, specific steps for you and for your practice. And then again, oh, did I mention, by the way, we have some special offers at the end. So please stay through to the end to see that. So specifically, what are we going to talk about here? So Lee is going to talk about some common myths and fears. He's also going to, why bother is sort of the question that you might get to. We're going to give you some very specific reasons why this is so important to your practice. I'm going to talk about the 4 social media networks and a couple others to focus on. And then we're going to talk specifically about 5 steps to get you more referrals. And each of us are going to go through each of those, the do's and don'ts, and then again, those special offers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and with the common myths and fears to turn it over to Lee.
All right, thanks, Brad. Yeah, so we'll call this the myths and fears. Basically, this is kind of the pushback we'll get from clients, that have been in the industry for a long time. They kind of have their own viewpoint on the way the world works and the way things used to be. But these are kind of the things that we hear often. No time, or it's a waste of time, is a very valid point, because obviously you're making money by serving your clients, not necessarily running around on social media. My clients are not using social. It's a tough one to listen to, because unless you have a very unique practice, I guarantee you a big majority of your clients, especially business clients, are on one social media platform, if not multiple, and they're probably logging in. Statistics show us, quite often. That's the wrong age group. Well, the data also shows us there's a wide group of people that are using social media. It's too hard, it's too complicated, and that's 100%. I get that. There's certain ways that we have learned over the years on how to post, how to engage clients, the type of content to create, and a lot of that we're going to talk about today. And that kind of leads into the don't have content. So unless you're a writer or a blogger, that is an area that you really got to think through. Okay, well, how can I develop content that's going to get enough visibility and make this worthwhile? So there's something we're going to go through today as well. And the last one is too much noise. And this is, I think everyone can relate to this right now. It's too much politics going on, a lot of the pushback on the advertising. I think there's a lot of changes that have occurred already, and the social media platforms that have addressed a lot of this. So that issue is kind of calming down a little bit. But let's go back from kind of the pushback to kind of why bother. So these are the 4 main points, and then I'll start with these. These are more emotional points, and then we'll get to some data points on the next slide. But basically, you want to humanize your practice. The modern way of building a brand and marketing is, connecting with clients at a human level. And especially in a business that is built on trust and authority, it is critical that you're more than just a talking head. There is something behind that people, and most practices, a lot of your clients are your friends, and you already understand how you've built those kind of relationships, but you want to be able to do that same thing and connect on the social platforms as well. This kind of brings us into, okay, the social media now allows me to become a thought leader in my field. And you'll hear a lot of people saying, let's focus on verticals and niches, and that is some good advice for certain practices. But what social media allows us to do is if you are, for example, you deal with expat taxes, it's a very easy way for you to find different social groups, to develop content around expat taxes, for example, and really be that go-to thought leader. So you're the one that's creating a lot of the content. You're kind of running the discussions online, and social media is a great tool to do that. The third one is kind of obvious, is stay top of mind. And we talked about, your audience is logging in daily, and I kind of, the best way to compare this is a daily commute and billboards, right? So, people put billboard advertising, even if they're just seeing a brand once a day or twice a day, it's something that, again, is kind of repetitive. And when someone actually needs your help, hopefully you are being consistent in your social posts are regular, then at that point, that's when the interaction occurs. So it goes from, maybe aware, and then all of a sudden there's an intent now that I need some help. And you want to be consistently keeping your brand out there. The last one is the increased website traffic. So the more content you're posting, especially if you're writing your own blog content, a lot of those are linking back to your site. That gives you another opportunity to either capture a lead or start a discussion with that prospect. So those are kind of the main ones. And I'm going to go into the data. People, obviously, especially accountants, love the data. So, hey, 88% of businesses are using social media. I mean, that's a staggering number, right? Basically, almost everybody is using it. And more importantly, 84% of people age 18 to 49 are using social media. So that kind of counters, my clients aren't online in a big way, right? So that's kind of issue one. But more importantly is we use social media to reach referral sources and other influencers. So it's a way that you can use some of the search tools to target messages to certain people, to connect with them. And it enables you to become an influencer or a resource if someone's writing an article. It's a great way to get inbound links on your website, for example, and that kind of runs into search engine optimization. So the more people linking to your content or to your brand, the higher you're going to rank online. But more importantly, the search engine algorithms are using things called social signals. So they're looking at how many followers do you have? Are people engaging on your content, with your content? And those are the kind of things that make up a big portion of how your brand is compared to other brands. So if you have a 0 in the social media, you're already kind of starting with one hand tied behind your back. More importantly, it's a great way to get a very high return on your investment. We do a lot of follower growth for our clients, and here's an actual chart. The amount of growth that we've had for our clients that we do both on Twitter, 762%, and even on LinkedIn, 211% in a very short period of time. And what's important about this is, once you build this is evergreen type of marketing. So meaning it's not something that is there today and gone tomorrow. So the bigger your audience, the better your reputation. These are things that are going to continue to grow and build upon themselves years and years in advance. And that's a huge asset to, kind of put the time in the beginning and then see the dividends rolling through, years to come. But those are the kind of the basic starting points. And I usually hand it over to Brad at this point.
All right, great. Thanks, Lee. And Lee sort of gave you the groundwork there. So he dispelled some of those myths and fears. He gave you some data and some sort of more emotional things about the reasons to do this and why this is so important. The other question we get is, which social media networks should I focus on? Which ones? There are probably literally hundreds of social media networks that you could go to. Really, though, we like to focus on the big four. And so in accounting, there's the big four accounting firms. And so we kind of focus on the big four social media networks. And I'm just going to go through these really quickly. And you're familiar with all of them, but LinkedIn is really the biggest professional network. Great place to get referrals through other businesses like attorneys and other places. It's primarily business content, and it's mostly used on desktop. So LinkedIn is probably your first place to go. Second, especially for small businesses. And Facebook is also, obviously, it's 2 billion users. It's the #1 social network. So it's the best source for individual tax clients. Small business clients are there as well. It's a more way of it to add a more personal and kind of lighter side to your practice. The downside is that you have to buy ads a lot of times, and it's more and more the case. And we'll go through that in a bit as well. Google. So Google has been trying for years to build a quote unquote social media network. They've really not. They've gotten Google Plus, but there's also something called Google My Business, which is probably even more important. So I'm kind of putting those two together here. But Google is another important place for content, for publishing, for connecting with people in SEO. Search engine optimization, that is very important to get Google and get your Google presence going. Twitter is the last one of the four. So Twitter is a great place to reach influencers. It's a great way to get more information on trending stories and trending news and to find reporters and media. So these are the four. So pay attention here. As I mentioned, we do have some polling questions. So I'll give you a hint here that this is an important slide to sort of pay attention to here with the polling questions. These are the big four: LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, Twitter, these are the 4 important ones. As I said, there's many others as well. So if you have video and photo content, and Lee's going to talk about that in a little bit in terms of content, but these are 2 places that you should also build out for your practice as well. If you've got video, obviously YouTube is the #1 video channel, and you got to get there. It's good for SEO as well. If you've got nice photos, say of clients that come into your office, or you've just got some good photo content, Instagram is another place to build out and get exposure and help you with your practice as well. But I would really go for those first 4 before you kind of jump into these other 2. So as I mentioned, the first polling question of the webinar here, I'm going to go ahead and launch this. And so it's related to what I was just talking about. But what are the big 4 social media networks? I'm going to go ahead and launch that we just talked about. And so go ahead and make your selection there based on what we just discussed. Which one of the big 4 that are the most important? So I'm going to go ahead and leave this up there for a few seconds and count down from 5 and give you 5 seconds more there. Hopefully you were paying attention. Some of those other ones you probably don't recognize being talked about, and there was 4 there that we did. These are going to be very in difficulty. So this one's pretty easy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that poll question. Thank you so much for participating on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lee to talk. We're going to start on the 5 steps now that you can use for your practice, and Lee's going to kick it off with step 1.
All right, thank you, Brad. I'm just going to get these bullets out here. And yeah, so before you start any project, I think it's important to kind of step back and figure out what is your strategy. So what kind of outcome do you want to accomplish? What is considered a success? Is there a certain target audience you want to focus on? So we've kind of laid it out in a kind of a simple way to do this, but what makes your business unique? So do you work with specific verticals? Do you have a unique service that you provide? Is there some knowledge that you're providing that is different than others? And then from there, it starts saying, okay, develop a unique selling proposition around that, right? So if you focus that on your branding of your website and other things, you can do the same thing on social. So we like to step back and say, okay, well, what clients do you want to attract and serve? So meaning, are you looking for dental practices and you want to be the CPA at all dental practices, or are you looking for restaurants, self-storage, whatever? There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of identify a niche type of client. There's also, am I looking for high net worth individuals? Am I looking for family offices? There's a lot of different ways, but basically kind of step back and say, okay, instead of just throwing a net out there and catching everything, if I was going to focus on one market or one type of client, what would be my ideal client? And then do it better than anyone else, right? So that goes into, it could be an industry, it could be a service, it could be the way you price services. A lot of people are now using value pricing, doing the virtual CFO services. There's a bunch of different ways to kind of establish, how you're going to present this online. From there, then you start establishing your business goals. So meaning, are you trying to acquire new clients or get more from existing? So your current client base, obviously, if you're not hitting them up for referrals, not hitting them up for reviews, not following them and kind of upselling, cross-selling them, there's a whole new opportunity there to boost revenue. So there's a couple different ways to go about that, right? Then comes into my favorite. So build out your digital presence. So one of the biggest confusion points, I think, is people think, oh, I just put up a website and then, everyone's just going to come. Build it and they will come. Well, if it was that simple, obviously everyone would be doing it, but the reality is each of us has competitors. Most of our competitors in our markets are local. So if someone is doing it better than you, then they're probably going to outrank you. So what are the things that you need to worry about? You need to have a strong, responsive, SSL secure website. You need to have a timely email newsletter that's being pushed out. You need to have blog content. You really need to work on your online reviews. That's kind of the modern day referral now. People, no matter if they get a referral or not, they're going to Google your name, and what they see in those search results, those stars better be 5 stars, and you better have a lot of good content there. So you want to own the search results there. And then from there, you want to start working on setting up your social media goals. So what is your goal? Are you looking for new clients? Are you just looking for some interactivity and some getting more followers, things like that? It always comes down to, the time issue and how do you get help from both your team and experts. We obviously have a good understanding and have automated a lot of this process, but your team internally can also be a big tool to amplify your content. So meaning your partners and staff members might have their own followers. They can help build your network and push a lot of this content through. So from there, we kind of go back to, okay, well, what are the potential referral sources, right? So your clients are obvious. Let's build as many clients as possible online. Just yesterday, there was a Facebook message came through to one of our clients. Hey, I want to refer this business. They have 3 to 4 employees. They need some payroll help. This is going straight through Facebook Messenger. I mean, and it's kind of one of those things. If you're not there, you don't know what you're missing. And we see this every day, all day, a ton of activity for people looking for referrals. They're doing it online. They're not doing it in a vacuum anymore. So your clients are obviously there. Are there other type of professionals that you can connect with and refer business back and forth? So other accountants, if you don't do IRS tax resolution, it could be there. There's certain types of services you may not offer, but have good relationships with your other professionals and identify them online and put them into your network. The obvious ones: financial planners, wealth managers, attorneys, business bankers, commercial realtors, insurance brokers. They're all online. LinkedIn, for example, is an incredible resource to be able to connect with all of these people and have the ability to start referring clients back and forth directly through these channels. But this is kind of the basics of where we like to get you guys started. This all brings you to the small business owners and the high net worth individuals. Who are you looking for? They're all there. So this is kind of the basics on setting your strategy.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lee. That's sort of step one, building out the strategy. And now for step two, once you have your strategy in place, is to really build out the profiles of your business. And so this would be your individual LinkedIn profile, your Twitter handle and page, your Facebook business page, your LinkedIn business page, your profiles on these social media networks. They are the front-facing view of your brand on social media. So super, super important to take a little bit of time, especially in the beginning, to build all of those out. Okay, so, and starting with that, we're gonna start with the photo. Your photo, especially if you're an individual practice, but even if you're a small firm with multiple partners, the headshot photo. People want to do business with people, as Lee said earlier. They want somebody personable, someone they can look at and say, hey, this is somebody I could do business with. So your photo is going to be super, super important. Unfortunately, though, for accountant, it's one of the most overlooked things, and it's one of the easier things to do. People might be intimidated by it, but it's easy. You don't have to be a model. You don't have to have a professional photographer. You still can get a great headshot photo, and it's super, super important. And what you're seeing there on the right is that's actually one of our clients. We have this tool that we use called Photo Feeler. We actually put the photo out there. People rate it based on these different qualities, and you can see whether it's a good photo or not. And we've done this for our clients. We actually did a study as well. And the company Photo Feeler that runs this tool also did a study. We have a blog post that goes into all kinds of details on the study we did and what's important and all that. I'm just going to touch on a few points here because the photo is so important. I did want to touch on a few points, but please do check out our blog article on our website, on our blog about this. But some things are just common sense and obvious, right? Okay, close-up headshot, only yourself. No selfies, not in the car, not at a bar, not with a hat, sunglasses. I like to make fun of not having your dog there on your lap or your pets. I know some people are dog lovers. There's other places to have dogs, but just nice professional photo, okay, of yourself, of just yourself. This is one of the most important points I do want to touch on. A smile, a nice natural smile, not somebody who looks grumpy, showing a little bit of teeth. This company that did this study showed that was a big boost to the photos, is to having a nice natural smile showing some teeth. No squinting, funny poses, business attire. So a smile and business attire, those two things the study found were super important for your photo. Again, you don't have to have a professional. You can have a family member or a friend or put it on a tripod, but it does need to follow all of these criteria to get a great photo, and you're going to make yourself much more presentable. And the whole reason behind this is some of this data that we came up with in our own study that showed for TaxBuzz professionals on our TaxBuzz site, they get 3 times as many profile views, 7 times more 5-star reviews, almost 4 times more referrals from our site or leads. For people who have good photos, versus those who put their logo or don't have a good photo. So this data alone, after this webinar, if you don't have a good photo on your website for yourself, you better go get one. And if you don't have one on your social media networks, you definitely have to go get one, because that's what people are looking at when they first come to see you on social media. Okay, so in addition to the photo, some other considerations here, business versus personal. Some people will have a personal Facebook page or personal Twitter page, and they'll use that as their social media for their business. No, you need something professional. Yes, you can have one that is your front facing for you individually as a business person, but you shouldn't be out there talking about politics and all these other personal things and family and all other stuff for your practice, your business. It brings down the professionalism. It's going to be hard to get small business clients, so you want a professional business focus. You can have individual, like for LinkedIn, for example. I'm going to show an example of that where you can have an individual as well as a business. Make sure everything's complete, consistent, fully built out, all of your education, testimonials, awards that you've won. And here's an example from one of our clients. There's lots of activity, nice professional photo. There's the business page on the right-hand side there. And then if you go down, and this is for LinkedIn, but you should do this on all the social media platforms. Make sure you build out all of them in terms of all the different content that they allow. Each one is different in terms of what they allow, but things like skills and endorsements, get some recommendations from clients on your LinkedIn, get some reviews. Obviously, Facebook, you can get on your business page reviews. Make sure they're all complete, consistent, professional views for your profiles on your practice, for your practice. Okay, so now poll question number 2. I'm going to go ahead and get this queued up here, so hopefully you're paying attention again. Again, should be a nice, easy one. All right, so poll question number 2. It is important to have a professional headshot photo of yourself on your social media profiles. It's important. This is a simple true or false. Is it important to have, or it is important to have a professional headshot photo? So go ahead and answer that again. I see the answers coming in? Okay, yes. Hopefully you're paying attention. You got this. I'm going to close this one pretty quickly here. I'm going to go ahead and close it in 5.
Brad, is the dog on the lap, or do you want it behind you? Or how does that work?
All right. Wise guy there. Yeah, if you can have it on your website. Okay, just not on your professional photo. Anyway, okay. I'm going to close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Close that one, and hopefully you were paying attention there on the poll question. All right. Okay. So now we're moving on to step number 3. So Lee talked about step 1 strategy. Step 2 is to build out those profiles. You got the profiles built out. Okay, now everybody's going to come, right? And you're going to get lots of referrals. No, you now have to get an audience. Lee showed this slide of the data that we have achieved with our clients in dramatically growing their network. So you need to grow the network for people to see all this great content that Lee's going to talk about in a minute that you're producing. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 main ways to do that. And I'm going to quickly just load them up here, but joining groups and interacting there, uploading your client list, and then searching for people, especially on LinkedIn and Twitter. We're going to go through each of these 3 items, but these are 3, again, simple steps that you can do today after this webinar to grow your network, because that you definitely need a network to get referrals from that network, okay? So this is a few things I'm just going to load up here. So there's lots of LinkedIn groups, there's Facebook groups, Twitter has something called chat. We actually, on our blog, have the top 15 LinkedIn groups for accountants and tax professionals. We also have the top 25 accountants, accounting and tax pros to follow on Twitter. We have a couple of groups. So on Facebook, we have something called Accountants of the Future. We have them on LinkedIn as well. We do tax buzz chats as well. And we also are going to have one coming for Accounting Works that's a little more small business focused. So the Twitter chats are just a way to go interact. We have a special guest, or that we had one on Twitter. So there's lots of different places and groups that you can interact, show your expertise, and people will find you, follow you, and you'll grow your network that way. So this is an important, easy way, a little bit of interaction in some of these groups. Doesn't take a lot of time, maybe 10 to 15 minutes a day, to get you noticed and to get people to follow you and follow you back on these different social media platforms. Okay, the next one, syncing your contacts. Again, this is so important and so simple, and so few of our clients do it. You have your clients, you have your network of connections. Often it's in your Google address book, or excuse me, your Google Gmail, or it's in your Outlook or something. Usually you can get it into a CSV format. All of these networks, though, also accept things like connecting to your Google account or connecting to your Office 365 online account. With that, you sync your contacts, and these are just a couple of examples on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and then you can connect to them on these networks. So please, 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 again, this is something you can do if you haven't done it before. Facebook, you have to be a little more particular about because you can only do this from your personal Facebook page. So if you have a professional personal Facebook page, you can do it there. Otherwise, focus on LinkedIn and Twitter. Sync your contacts, connect to your clients and your network. It's very easy to do. We can help you. Again, you got the little questions box there on any of these things that we see. If it seems like it's overwhelming or too complicated, let us know and we can help you and show you how to do it. And these are things, by the way, that we do for our clients, and that's how we got such amazing growth for them. Okay, LinkedIn suggestions, another one. They'll offer up people that you may know. You can just click the button to connect if it's somebody who looks like a referral source. These are some of mine, so it's a lot of CPAs and tax professionals. But it'll offer up, based on your current connections, people for you to connect with. It's real simple. If you see somebody that looks like a referral source or a potential client, you just click the connect button. And then finally, LinkedIn search is another great way. You can go to the search and do a little more advanced search. So if you click on the advanced box to get into the LinkedIn, you can search for people in your area that maybe are CEOs or owners of a business. Maybe they're attorneys. I did a search here in Orange County for construction CEOs, and just the 3 people that popped up on the right there for an accountant who's here in Orange County, they would be perfect potential clients to go out and reach to and try to connect to on LinkedIn. Again, you can also try to connect to referral sources like attorneys and other folks. And then when you do reach out, it's good to customize the invitation. You'll get better response. It looks more personal. Hey, Michael, it looks like we're both business owners here in Orange County. Let's connect. Maybe there's some way we can partner, or maybe there's a way we can refer customers to each other if it's like an attorney or somebody like that. The other thing that I'll point out here that's often overlooked as well is you get invitations in. The more you grow your your networks, the more invitations you will get. But please do go check your invitations and connect with those people who look good. Okay, Twitter, a little bit of a different approach. Our recommendation is to go to your local Chamber of Commerce Twitter site. And again, this is what we do for our clients, but go there and click on the tab that says followers. For this one, the Denver Chamber of Commerce, there's somebody who's the editor-in-chief of the Denver Business Journal. Could be somebody who might want to write a story on the latest tax laws or something that might want to quote you. So lots of good media people, referral sources, influencers. Twitter is a little bit more about media, but finding these people and hitting follow, many times they will follow you back, especially if you have a nice friendly photo like a lot of these folks do. More likely to get followed back again with the photo. That's how you do Twitter. And Facebook, okay, it's a little harder. You have to do things like giveaways, polls, photos, videos, content. It can really get you noticed on Facebook and get people to follow you or like your page, I should say. But more and more, Twitter is pushing people to ads. So ads, unfortunately, with Facebook are things that can help you grow your network. But it's not, I would suggest starting with LinkedIn and then Twitter and then Facebook in terms of the networks that you go after to increase your following there. And again, we've had the results. Okay, this is poll question number 3. I'm going to go ahead and launch it right now. But which of the following is not a good way to grow your social media networks? Not a good way. So is it inviting your contacts, finding and connecting with people, following people on Twitter, or just creating these profiles and hoping that your networks will grow? So, there's a few things there that are active that we talked about you can do, or just putting it out there and hoping you grow. The last one there, D. So which one is not a good way? I'm going to go ahead and close this in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that one. Hopefully you were paying attention there. And okay, we're going to go ahead and move ahead to step 4. Lee.
All right, thank you, Brad. And I think the whole build your following that Brad on step 3 is such a key thing, because if you just put up your profile and don't actively or get someone to actively follow for you, then what's the point of developing all the content, right? So very few people are going to see it. You're going to get very little engagement. So when it comes to the content side, what do you do? And by far the number one shared, liked, or the most interaction is going to be on photos. Now, photos, this could be photos with your clients. This could be photos when the children came over. It could be a business that you're doing a case study on. It could be any number of things, but anything that you can make that's personal and social, right? This is social media, right away starts breaking down and goes back to that humanizing concept we talked about earlier. So photos are a huge deal. We see across our client base, by far, anything that's a little more personal is shared, much more liked, whatever. So it definitely is the direction I would go. testimonials and online reviews. So we are, as a sales and marketing automation platform, we do this for our clients, where we automate the both finding reviews and testimonials for our clients, but we also have a tool that automatically publishes these to social accounts. And just yesterday, I had a Team Tax, one of our clients in Temecula, had a great 5-star review on TaxBuzz, published to their Facebook account, and in 24 hours, over 130 reviews. I think they had 12 shares or likes. That's the kind of thing where the client is doing the selling for you, and they're amplifying your message and your brand across to their followers, and most likely in the same community, right? So you couldn't pay for that type of advertising, and it's all free and organic, right? So definitely put some time in publishing any good testimonials or online reviews that you have. Press releases, firm news. Have you hired new partners? Is there anything, new milestones you guys have done? I think those are another thing that, one, gives you some mileage. More importantly, it can get you out in front of the influencers. So if you've created a good network of bloggers, editors, people that are important in your area, that might be something that piques their interest to get a phone call in. Blog posts and articles. Our business is sharing your expertise, right? So how can we showcase our expertise? How can we share that knowledge and at least put ourselves out there as an expert in the field? Writing blog posts, getting your articles shared on social media is a crucial element of that. Obviously, as our system does this for our clients, but if you are doing this, it's a great way to start putting your brand out there. Live events. We have people starting to do Facebook Live. They are doing webinars. They're talking about tax reform. That has been another area where we've seen quite a bit of activity for clients. So again, that's a little bit out of the comfort zone for some people, but it's definitely something that is working. Brad had mentioned the giveaways and polls. There's a couple clients that we've watched, and again, we're not attorneys. We don't know the rules in each state or jurisdiction, but having campaigns, at least for follower campaigns. So if you follow me, you'll be in this giveaway, and then have a kind of a video or a live event where you pull who the winner is and give a significant prize. We've seen people add thousands of followers through a giveaway and poll. So it's another unique way of doing this. Videos and infographics. Again, this is getting a little more technical, a little more time, and a little more budget concerns, but anyone can create videos now. You can talk about different tax reform issues. You can talk about how it could be QuickBook tips. You can take a lot of printed material that you have and create it into video formats. Infographics are another great tool to get shared on social media. People like to share visuals. Social media is very visual, so an infographic could be on tax reform or finding free money. There's a whole different way of going with this. And then shared and curated content. Sometimes people just go overboard in the shared and curated and don't do any original content. And I think it's important to find content that you think will be important to your audience. So especially if you're on a niche or a vertical, you can share other people's content, but don't go overboard and that's the only thing you do. So, oops, let me go back here. So here's just some examples of photographs. Here's some staff. If we did a charity event, get some pictures of you doing it. If the golf course. The bottom one, cutest tax deduction ever. We have these little placards or office lobby cards, and you get to one of your clients' child in the picture. And I think this one had like 60 shares and an unbelievable amount of views. But it's just a real easy way to create your own content. Some more examples. We do Friday Funny, so we try to throw some humor. People like jokes. I mean, they do, and some it's not their comfort zone, but we get a lot of activity with that. We use memes. We do the Wednesday Wisdom posts, and then we share a lot of the different blog content. But there's a ton of ways you can go about creating content. You just got to be creative with it and kind of sit down and kind of come again with your business strategy and take it from there. But from there, how do you now engage? And Brad's going to kind of take that over.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. And I also want to mention, too, that all of that content that you saw there, as Lee mentioned on that last slide, is content that we can produce for clients. And so don't feel overwhelmed, because that's another thing, too. People just feel like, oh, man, I've been doing taxes all day. Last thing I can think of was something interesting to say on Facebook at midnight, after a full day of work. So we can provide kind of a base level of some really great content for you. We actually do it 2 to 3 times a week, where we post those things that Lee just showed. And then if you want to add like the photos that he showed on top of what we do, that's a great way to personalize your social media. Get some of the base content from somebody like us. It doesn't have to be us, but we do a good job. And then kind of personalize it on top of that. So you have your step one, which is strategy. You built out your profiles. You grow your network. You now have some content going out there. Now a little bit of engagement can start generating some of those referrals that we talked about. So what can you do to engage? And again, you don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but again, 10 to 15 minutes a day, or maybe you want to take your Friday afternoon and spend an hour or something like that. Have a regular time, maybe it's in the morning, whatever your time is, that you can do a little engagement across a few of these networks and maybe pick one or two that you want to focus on. So like, retweet, comment on, share other people's content. So you've got this stream on your feed. It's called a feed, the thing that you see in front of you where you see all these posts from the people that you're following or connected to. On all of the networks, it works pretty similar. Go ahead and start liking some of those things. It doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't cost you hardly any time to like and comment and share other people's content. What that does is gets you in front of them for free. Forget about paying for ads. You get an ad every time you click on somebody's stuff. It's easy, okay? So, and then you can also message people, not salesy, but just little introductory messages. I'm going to show you some examples of messages you can send. Life events are great too. On LinkedIn, for example, or even on other social media networks, you'll see that they change jobs or have a birthday or have an anniversary or change careers or got a promotion or got an award. Those are awesome things for you to comment on and like. You can also on LinkedIn and other places endorse them or recommend them or give them a review if it's a referral source, non-competitive. But if you want to give somebody a review, invite them to connect, or excuse me, invite them to like your stuff. I mean, if you've interacted and you maybe want to get a little more activity, just go ahead and ask them, hey, would you mind taking a look at this post that I did, and would you mind liking it? I mean, you can sort of pull some of that in the beginning until you get a bigger network to get a little more activity. And then offer referrals before you get them. I'm going to show you an example of that, but give before you ask to get. So offer to send some of your clients to a business attorney or a business broker or somebody like that. So give before you get. And I'm going to talk to you about some examples. Okay, so engaging. Again, LinkedIn, you can do these little things. All it is a little plus box that you click on somebody's profile to sort of say, hey, this guy's good at accounting. You know, again, I usually follow accountants, so this is what an accountant one might look like. But if it's a small business, it might be CEO or business planning or retail or some kind of industry. So go ahead and endorse people on LinkedIn. Okay, it's a great way. And then on LinkedIn, again, you get these stream of things that coming in saying, hey, you know, Jessica has a birthday today, or, you know, Brian, Thomas, you know, has changed the jobs or whatever. So you'll see all these different things that come through. Send a little message to them. Hey, congrats. Or, hey, you know, I didn't know you changed jobs. You have a small business. Well, maybe I can help you. So there's lots of different ways to engage based on these streams that are coming through on your social media networks. And LinkedIn is a great one. Now, again, give before you get. So, hey, you know, Lee, it looks like we're both connected on LinkedIn. You know, I notice you work with small business owners. You know, I could refer somebody, or, you know, if you have, you know, somebody that needs my help, let me know. So offer to give referrals and see if you can sort of say, hey, I'm here. It's not salesy. It's just a way to connect. Maybe you know, offer to do coffee, or you offer to do a quick phone call to make introductions, something like that. We also, in our platform, it was ClientWise and now it's CountingWorks, but in our platform, we have some emails that you can send out as well to get referrals from your clients, or even from your network as well. So just simple introductory messages to get you in front of them and sort of tease the idea of, hey, it looks like we both serve small business people. Maybe we can help each other. Again, non-salesy, a way to reach out, get connected with them. Now, if everything we're doing today, we talked about, works, and you get a referral from someone, which if you follow all these steps, you're going to get referrals, be sure to thank them. Okay, important step there. We have, again, an email that's built into our platform. You don't have to use ours, but you can just thank them through a direct message or through an email to thank them for the referral. Super important. If you want to get more of those and you want to keep a good network and good connections, be sure to thank people. So that's step 5, is to engage on those social media platforms once you get out there. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Lee for some more specific do's and don'ts.
Yeah, it's my favorite. And the do's and the do not. The do's, I think Brad's comments and the tool we use, Photo Feeler, I think is by far the most important thing. So we say, get the basics in place first. I think the photograph is step one, and then you can start building out your profiles. So make sure they're all consistent. Make sure your name, your brand name, your address, your phone numbers are all the same throughout. So get the basics in place. We say, set those attainable goals so you're not overwhelmed. If you're doing the basics first, it kind of follows, step by step. Use automation. We automate a lot of the process for our clients. But basically, we spend a ton of time researching what's going to be out there, how we write the posts, how we're going to schedule them. But once you get it set up, it just kind of runs on its own. And that's the best part of being a marketing automation system. Brad's comment about spending that time engaging with your referral sources, we see it all the time where there's business coming through the social account and the professional doesn't even respond. And it's just like email, or it's just like answering the phone. Some people prefer to use the social channels to reach out to you. And whether you like it or not, or it's a bother, you can't think of it that way. You really need to say, okay, this is just a new funnel, a new way to communicate, and bring it into your practice. Do not. One of the biggest things we see is getting into politics, posting things that are more on the personal side beyond humanizing you. So this is like a whole nother level. This is taking your client base and dividing them in half, right? So be very careful on how you mix the business and personal side with the post. So we really like to say people are working with you for a reason. There's certain type of financial goals, or they want a better financial outcome. Try to keep your content and your posts related to making those financial outcomes occur. We also see people who hire these social media experts, and that might work in kind of the Kardashian fashion world. It's kind of a different game, but in the tax, financial services, accounting services, it doesn't really mix. You really need to understand your content. It's technical, and having someone who doesn't even know if something's right or wrong, and we see this all the time when we're curating content. We'll look out if there's a topic, for example, we want to write about. We'll actually Google it and see who's ranking where, and it amazes us that Google will rank articles, written by media types who don't even understand what they're writing about and how technically incorrect they are. And that's actual advice on major trade magazines and blogs. So, be very careful on who you hire. Don't underestimate or overestimate the results. And the reason I think this is important is you can't really tell. A lot of this is going on behind the scenes. You don't necessarily know who found you where. And sometimes people expect an immediate thing, and it's kind of a long-term evergreen type of thing. And then don't spend too much or too little time investing in your networks. And the biggest one, and we've seen this post, this is a real post from a client of ours who had hired someone else to share some content. Create the content, again, for your audience. And when you hire someone, an outsider, who doesn't know what they're doing or just trying to throw content out there, it's crickets. And yes, the nut butter or avocado, it might look good, or someone thought this was a good idea, but this is kind of lowbrow content, and I think it's really important to not fall into this trap. But those are kind of the basics for the do's and don'ts, and I'll let Brad kind of wrap this up.
Yeah, which one do you like, Lee? The avocado or the nut butter?
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not sure I like either. Neither one looks that appetizing. Anyway, yeah, that was on an actual accountant I think it was Facebook that we got that from, where somebody was posting, as Lee said, some of the quote unquote social media expert that they hired was posting that kind of stuff, and it wasn't not only getting engagement, but it wasn't a good reflection of their brand. But anyway, so the 5 steps that we went through, just to refresh and go through them really quickly again: set that strategy, build out your profiles, grow your network so that you can have people that will see the great content in step 4 there that you're going to be sharing, and then start engaging with people, start to tease out, with the referral sources, especially, that what you do and who you are and kind of the clients you work with, and, ask, tell them that you've got some clients that they can refer, or that you can refer to them, and then sort of tease out and hopefully start getting some referrals. And this will happen if you follow these 5 steps. If you need help, let us know. If you've got questions, you got the little question thing there. We'll answer a few here at the end. But if you need help doing any of this, we'd love to give you some suggestions and some advice. Okay, going to go ahead and move on now in that vein, and actually move on to poll question 4. And so before I do, though, I do want to say that we can, as I just said, help you. We're here to help, and we have some packages, and you can there's paid things that you can do, and we have lots of clients who do that. If you just want to get some basic advice, let us do a social media audit for you and do some recommendations. Let us look at your social media profiles, complimentary. And also we have 2 sites. They're not necessarily social media sites, but they're huge. TaxBuzz is the #1 site for accountants and tax professionals, independent folks. We just launched accountingworks.com as well for more accounting and bookkeeping. We can build those out for you, no charge, to get a nice looking profile on there. Photo feeler, we talked about the importance of those photos. We can help you do that for the first 10 people, no charge. First 10 accountants or tax professionals who see this and see this webinar, contact us, hit the chat there, and let us know you want us to do this. We're going to ask for 2 photos from you, and we will test them and to see which of those 2 headshot photos look best. So contact us about that. And I've also got a link there to Steve Anderson on our team, and he can you can set a time with him to go through and do this complimentary audit, build out of your profiles in the photo feeler test if you wanted to do that, if you've got some photos. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and launch poll question 4. And so the question is, I assume you are because you're attending this webinar, which is about getting referrals. So I assume that you are looking to get more referrals. So this should be a very easy question. If you'd like to qualify that and also say, yeah, I'd also, I saw you guys do some websites and things like that. Maybe I need help with my website, other things as well. Please go ahead, and I assume, and I'm seeing the results coming in. Thank you. Okay, yes, 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 please. We'd love to talk to you about this, so say yes. No hint there. You don't have to, but please do say yes to this poll. And we'd love to help you. And I assume you're looking for referrals since you're here on the Getting Referrals webinar. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Please go ahead and say yes, and then we'll close it in 3, 2, 1. And I even threw you for a loop there. I started with 3 instead of 5 that time. Okay, all right. So now what you've all been waiting for. I mentioned this several times. Some special offers. Okay, so if you do like what we have to offer, you don't have to go with us, obviously. But we do have thousands of clients who we help with social media, thousands of accountants and tax professionals around the country. I would say, Lee, I think we're probably the #1 in terms of just helping with social media in particular, especially. If you look at our packages and our pricing, it starts at $70 a month, and we can start doing some of this stuff for you that we talked about today. So not only that, but if you mention Web 20, you're going to get 20% off the first 3 months on any of our packages. And even if you're an existing client and you want to kind of upgrade and do more and get more of those social media referrals, we'll also give you 20% off if you upgrade to a package. So anyone who sees this, who's on the webinar, use the Web20 code and we'll get you 20% off the first 3 months. And our packages are already, I mean, when you look at the prices, you can go to our site and you can look at the prices, you can say, oh my gosh, they're already so low, and now I'm giving you 20% more off. And then also $100 off those AccountingWorks Pro and TaxBuzz Pro packages. And so those sites help you get in front of more people, help you get more referrals from us. So we talked about how to get social media referrals. We get thousands and tens of thousands of people coming to TaxBuzz all the time. So if we get you set up with TaxBuzz Pro and also AccountingWorks Pro, which is our new site, we'll give you $100 off getting more referrals from those sites. And then we're also going to waive, if you tell them about this code, we're going to waive all the setup fees. The setup fees can be up to $495. So zero if you use this code. The offers do expire, so please get back to us as soon as possible on these to take advantage of those offers. Awesome. Okay, so we had some questions that came in throughout the webinar, and these are some of them are questions that we get quite often. We may not have time. We're only going to have time to cover a few of them now. However, if you want to ask questions, please do so. And if we don't answer your question here, we will follow up with you, and we're going to answer your question offline. Okay? So some of the questions that we get that come in. So the first one here, Lee, is, and this is one we get quite a bit when it comes to Facebook. So you hear about Facebook and all the changes they've had and all the political stuff that's happened, all that. So, I mean, it's still a huge network. We still see tons of activity for the content that goes out, but they sort of have made it harder. Actually, Lee, one of the things that they've done recently is for ads, for example, they don't even allow you to target down to people's professions or education or their jobs anymore. They sort of, because of this data issue with the politics, they've taken some of that out. But you can boost posts and you can get more activity. So the question is, should I advertise on Facebook? That's the one that we get most often. My answer usually is, if you've done those other 5 steps that we've talked about, which are mostly, I don't want to say they're free, it does take some time. And if you hire somebody like us, a little bit of money, but are pretty cost effective, and you can get some pretty big returns from those 5 things, those 5 steps that we talked about. I would say start with those first. And if you maximize those things, and like maybe during tax season, you want to get a little boost or something like that, then you might do some advertising, which includes Facebook. Lee, I don't know if you have any more thoughts or questions about the fact, should I advertise on Facebook question?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of following. They've taken a lot of the capabilities out where we could hyper target groups, but I think from what we've seen, clients that have used it as a way to grow their network, grow their followers. It has been very successful. They have added, a bigger following. And a lot of times, those are followers of your followers. So if you are in a local area, most likely the friends of your clients are a target audience of yours as well. So we found that to be kind of a very successful way of doing it.
Right. And then, so the other question that came in is, and again, we do get this one quite a bit, so thank you for sending this in, but the question about time, right? So how do I effectively, I've got, especially like during tax season, I've got so much stuff going on, some of these things that we talked about, yeah, there's a little bit of investment of time, but so social media usually a lot of times will come down to time. And so that's the question is, how do I best use my time to get the most out of social media? I don't know, Lee, if you have any like strategies that you use maybe for your own personal networks, kind of a certain time of day, or what do you do as far as engaging and trying to get more from your networks?
Yeah, well, for me, it's basically almost a full-time job. So it's not a perfect
Sure.
answer for the rest of the side, but I have seen so many, and I'm going to talk. I'm not selling here. I'm just talking to experience. We have kind of expanded I'd say our brand reach through social by not trying to sell, just by purely curating exceptional content, by being friendly, by creating relationships online. We have a kind of a group of, I don't know if I'll call them ambassadors, but other influencers that, will share each other's content. And that type of effort, I think, is well worth it. It goes down to, we do all that work for our clients. We automate this for you. So, and Brad had mentioned, the quality of our content. We actually see reviews for our clients mentioning how much they appreciate us, or the CPA, the enrolled agent, the tax pro, the accountant, sharing their knowledge through the social sites and through email. And I think that's a huge kind of, not red flag, but a big promising area of why people should be doing this. So it's a big deal.
Right. Great. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Lee mentioned in terms of what we get too from, I mean, I would say social media for us in terms of accountants coming to us and finding us, social media is probably, I don't know if it's our number one channel, but it's probably close to being number one in terms of the accountants that find us through all the stuff that we're doing on our own. So a little bit different, but not so much, because accountants, that just shows you that professionals are out there, right? On LinkedIn, we're constantly getting in new inquiries and referrals, and we have, it's for our own business. So it's for our clients absolutely effective, especially after they've grown their network and done these things. They're seeing referrals come in from social media in a lot of different places. Okay, so the other question that came in is, and this is related to some of the content that you're talking about, Lee, but video. What should I do for videos to get some video content out there on social media?
Yeah.
So yeah, and you showed some examples, and we do some of that too. But what do you recommend for the average small practice in order to get some video content out there?
Right. So what we do, in the topics that we've gotten the most shares and activity on are life events. So talking about saving for college, or getting married, or tax reform is kind of a new life event. That's more of a business life event. But taking content that will speak to a specific audience at a specific time. We have found that to get a lot of activity to people that apply to it. And you'll see a lot of sharing. They'll say, hey, Lee, look at this. And it's a way that they're pushing that content out to their audience. The other thing I would say to you is keep it 1 minute to 2 minutes. Try to make your videos autoplay. If you can add the caption within, so if people have the volume turned off, they can still kind of see what that video content is about. I think those are all very important things. YouTube is the second biggest search engine. Forget posting video just on Facebook and these other areas. So having a strong presence is a huge, huge deal. So those are the areas that I would work on, to beginning. But you can find that as a whole new funnel.
Yep, absolutely. Some great ideas for video there. Okay, well, those are the questions we're able to take. As I mentioned, we will get back to you if you had additional questions. We love to help. We love to hear the questions. Love to help your practice. So please do reach out to us. Actually, we have our LinkedIn profiles here. If you wanted to connect to Lee or I on LinkedIn, we'll definitely hit the accept if that comes through. So great. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Again, we're happy to help. We have lots of ways to help. Don't be overwhelmed. You can tame this social media beast, and hopefully we've helped provide some good suggestions for you here today. So Lee, any parting words?
No, I hope you guys got some value of it, and take us up on the offers for the free reviews, just to talk it over. We are all very active on social media and return your messages. So, please reach out. But hopefully everyone's going to have a great year and really jump on this.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Well, thank you all very much for joining. We look forward to hearing from you. Again, look for an email from us if you are interested in getting the CPE. We'll also send a reminder out to you about the offers that I mentioned there. So please, if after this webinar or when you get the email, do respond to those, and we'd love to talk to you more about this great topic of social media and get more referrals. So thanks again, everybody, for joining, and have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.